Last year, during the middle of the first year of the pandemic, I decided I was going to take on a project I had been wanting to do for quite some time. When I got back into ham radio 6 or 7 years ago, I started out with mostly handheld radios and then a small mobile radio for my Hamshack at the house. And as every ham knows, that shack just and the equipment just grows and grows and grows and never stops. Eventually, I ran out of space, and my first space I set up for my Hamshack, and then ended up moving it, not too far away from where it was, but somewhere where I had a little bit more space to kind of spread out. And things still kept growing over time. I was adding more cables and more radios and more power, more audio. Things just kept growing, and it got to the point where I quickly outgrew the other area that I had set up as well. I had so many wires going everywhere, I couldn't figure out what went where. And if I had to trace a cable to figure out what it was doing, sometimes even ended up taking something else down, pulling a cable out by accident, or grabbing the wrong one. So tracing cables wasn't easy, and it just was a total mess. I mean, a total mess. I've been wanting to just rip it out. I've said so many times I want to rip it out and start over and make it neat again. And I never took the time to do it because I knew what kind of effort that would mean. But here we are during the pandemic where we're not doing anything. We're not going seeing people. We're not going out. We're stuck at home. So what a better time to do that? So I did take it upon myself to start thinking what would I want in the last shack I'm ever going to build here. So I ended up looking around for some furniture, found the furniture that I liked and ordered it. And it actually, funny enough, it arrived on field day in 2020. We were outside doing field day, and the FedEx truck shows up with some of the furniture. So that's about the time frame when I was starting to do that. The furniture came completely naked. I had to do some cleanup on the furniture and stain it and make some changes as I wanted to make to it as well before I made it into the permanent shack. So this was about a month-long project probably to get the furniture exactly where I wanted it. So this is probably around, I would say maybe end of July or August when this video is going to start. But we're going to start off as I'm starting to take apart the old shack. I actually took a few things out and then realized, hey, I should probably record this. So I grabbed a camera, and that's where this video starts. By the way, I'm Mike. I'm Kilo 3 Delta Oscar, and this is the last Hamshack. Alright, this is going to be a quick tour of the shack as it is right now, and I'm doing this because we're going to change this all around, rip it all apart, build a new shack. And before I do, I want to record what it was like before. So what we have here is, we'll start over here, 4 Raspberry Pis, 3 of them are putting 3 repeaters on the air. There's two radios, and the other one is an external feed. It's the K3RM, which is a Wires X, so the feed for it comes out of the Wires X, the HRI200. Hotspot right there, another hotspot right there, the SWR meters, the ICOM 5100, and we have the FTM 100. That's the node. Top one is the node radio for the club repeater. The one on the right there is my FTM 400, and then I have another FTM 100. That's a spare. It is currently on the same frequency, just to receive what I'm putting up there. And then you see over here an Yaesu FT7900 and an FT8900. So, and then down here's our scanner, and then my TNCs are down there. So, it's a little small soundboard, which is too small for what I'm trying to do. That's going to change in the shack upgrade. Our 2 monitors right here for the computer, the FTDX 3000. This is probably the one I use the most. And then here you see DMR radio, which I'm going to change out in the new shack to a little bit more modern version. And then this Kenwood I use for packet and things like that. Sometimes Echo Link, things that are not normal. I just use it for one-off things, and sometimes I use it for, if we do events, I'll use it for digipeating in events. And then I have the ICOM 7300 over here. And then the rack on the right, which I've already taken things out of, the old weather system, which I probably will get rid of after I move. And then in here there was some testing equipment up top. I've taken it out of there already. This is for storage. And then I had two rotor controllers, which you'll see in the new one. I've already taken them out. The Yaesu G5500 for tracking satellites, and then I also have a rotor controller that was for a beam, which I don't currently have a beam set up. So, and then down at the bottom there's a rack with some equipment in it. You'll see a switch and some other radios that I turn on occasionally, and one of the power supplies. And you'll see at the bottom I got a mess because I've already started playing with different things. That's why I said I should take in a video before I start tearing things apart. This actually doesn't really belong here. This is going to be at a remote site. There's a remote rig in there with a 7100 and a tuner, so it's going to be going to a remote site here soon. And then over here is another rack. This is where all the radios are for all the heads that were up top. And you see down here is two power supplies. And then there's all the little things sitting around with, here's a room, what's this called? It's an MFJ rig pie, the rig pie. So I don't really like it very much, so I don't want to use it. So, and then the new weather thing that reports in, and there's some Raspberry Pis around, and miscellaneous things in the back. So we're going to clean all this up. And I've already started, so that's why I said I should have taken this video prior to start tearing things apart. But I haven't torn a lot apart yet, so I figured I'd grab a camera real quick and kind of walk through it. And we'll try to record as we build out the new area. We're also changing a few other things. At the top here, you'll see the cables come through and run and return radio from outside of the tower. I'm actually going to put a patch panel up there, and so we can move cables around easy enough, and I can keep track of them better. I lose track of them after I move them around a couple times. I put numbers on them, but the numbers are falling off, so we're going to recable them, relabel them properly, all kinds of things like that. So all still work in progress, but we'll get back over to the new rack here, the new shack, as we start working on it. Hello and welcome to the disaster area. You can see as I look through here, shack's coming apart slowly. So a lot of the stuff's gone. You see a lot of the radios that were on here are no longer on there. It doesn't necessarily mean they're totally moved, but we're going to walk through that. So yeah, welcome to the mess. So let's click down here. So here we are starting to assemble things. So what we have over here is our azimuth controllers for the Leo pack, and then we have our rotator. See our radios, so you see we're starting to put things together slowly. Some things are already hooked up, like DMR radios hooked up, powered on, run by battery. This ICOM's hooked up. This is hooked up too, but this is a remote rig, so I temporarily have the Cat5 unplugged, and then this is working here too as well. So, and we walk across and turn that off. I just installed the FTDX and get ready to plug it up, so it'll be working. And then these radios are all remote heads. So far I haven't moved any of the radios except for the 5100, and it's a long cable, so that's the radio I use most. So it's just hooked up so I can at least talk to people. And then still left over here is the scanner, which we're not going to use anymore. And this is the node radio for the K3RM Wires X repeater. So it's all that stuff's still on the rack down here. We haven't moved that yet. I need to get some power and antenna movement around before I can move that. So it's going to stay here until everything moves over, just so it can stay on the air. So slowly getting there. This is first step in getting things moved. You see over here, the power stuff's still a bit of a mess. I got it enough to get it working. This goes to the solar charger, and then this goes to the battery, which is currently not where it belongs, and neither is this actually. So that's why you see them come out the front. And then there's a panel that goes here for power, which already have things wired for that. We got one thing hooked up in here. That's the lights that go behind, but we have all the other stuff. Cables are run, just not terminated yet. You see they're still here. So we still got a bit of a mess to do in the power area, but we got it enough to be up and working. So, all right. Well, this is the first update. We'll keep updating you as we move along. All right. So, as part of the shack rebuild, I'm going to redo all the cabling inside and out. So I'm going to split it. I think I mentioned this before, where it comes through the wall, put it into a patch panel of sorts, and have the cables at the right length. So I have a mixture here of 20 and 25 foots, and I'm about ready to label them. So I've gotten the labels to put on the cables, printed out. These are the nice labels that are waterproof and all that. So I'm gonna sit down here and I'm gonna start labeling a bunch of cables. You can see the mess is continuing to grow. Just did, what would it be, 46 cables, 23 for inside and 23 from the patch panel to the tower. And we're going to label the ones on the tower too, but I haven't gotten that far, and we'll do that when we're on the tower. But you can see I put labels, both ends are labeled, and I'm going to build an RF snake, similar to an audio snake but with RF cables. I'm going to try to do that at least, to make it look a little bit better than individual wires coming out. And they're all going generally the same place. And these insides are 25 feet. The outsides from the patch panel to the tower are 20 feet. So a little different sizes, but you can see both ends are labeled. They're all ready to go, all bound up, nice and neat. You know, the current shack and wiring has been done over time, piece by piece by piece added. So I'm looking forward to doing a nice clean install and getting everything nice and neat for once. That's always kind of bothered me. So anyways, I just finished doing these cables, and I guess we'll move on to making the snake now. Alright, so I'm working here tonight. Back working on the shack, taking a break for a little bit. Some family stuff going on, but I wanted to show you what I'm working on tonight. So the old shack had an audio board with, I think it was like 10 channels, something like that, and I outgrew it. So we're redoing the new shack. Some of the audio comes from above the table, and some of it comes from the rack where their equipment's mounted. So I'm going to redo all the audio cables. And you've noticed here that I've labeled everything as to what it is. And I can't quite read it, but every cable was labeled, because the problem I had before was I had traced all the cables down. I don't want to keep doing that, so I've gone through and labeled all these cables. The audio snake itself is already labeled with channel numbers, so I know what that is. So I'm working on this tonight. My goal is to get everything that's above the table wired in tonight, and that way I can start working below the table and hook everything up. So I'm going to try, I haven't done this yet, I'm going to try to make this into a nice, easy, and pretty thing, and when I get to that point, I'll do another video or finish off the video with that. So what I'm going to do though is get rid of that Alesis. I have a Behringer XR16, which is basically a soundboard without any knobs. It's all controlled via iPad, or you can also write your own. There's an API for it, which is what I'm ultimately going to do. I'm going to take one of my desktop switchers that I make and just change the coding to control the soundboard, so I can turn things off and on. One of the other advantages to going to something like an XR16 is I can easily pipe that into the soundboard for the studio, so I can set it at the shack and record videos through the main studio system, which is just so much better audio quality and video quality for that matter. So, but I wanted to show you I'm changing out all the cables. Before it was a mishmash of stuff. In fact, some radios don't have any sound other than the radio itself because I ran out of inputs on the Alesis board. So this is what I'm working on tonight. I'm going to try to make this into a nice, pretty thing to get all the stuff up top wired up. And I haven't hooked the computer up. The monitor's sitting up there, but I haven't got them hooked up yet because I got to keep taking them down and work behind. Which is easy to do, but I don't want to keep doing it, you know, up, down, up, down, up, down while I'm working on stuff. So I'm trying to get everything done tonight. I have the computer ready to go in there now. I got it ready last night. I reloaded the new machine with stuff, and I'm going to start trying to hook up the monitors and start testing things out. I'm also labeling all the control cables for all this stuff over here, all these remote heads and microphones. I have all the labels printed out, not labeled yet. I'm going to do that yet tonight. And as you can see, I'm still waiting on some panels. These panels, it's like 3 weeks in now and haven't gotten them. The panel for this one that controls all the power, and there's a panel for the computer, and all that stuff goes over here. So there's a couple things I'm still missing that are still on the way that I can't complete totally until I get those panels back. But here's an update, and hopefully I'll come back here shortly and give you a preview of what it's going to look like when I'm done with it. Alright, here we are, cleaned up a little bit more. So what you see I've done is everything's labeled, obviously, and coming out of the ends, there's 2 ends in this nice coiled up wire. So all the audio from the top is going to go down to the back to the soundboard in one nice little coiled up wire, so you don't have to worry about everything getting tangled up. It's already dealt with. So this is the top wiring. I'm going to do the same thing with the control cables and the microphone cables. I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 of these. I don't know how long I'm going to fit through this one. So that's my next step, is to go get the control cables all ready to be done as well and get them done. So And then I'm going to come back here a little bit and show you the soundboard. This is the Behringer XR16 that I was talking about here earlier. So we have it in a carry case right now because we've been using it for outdoor stuff, but its original intention when I bought it was for this jack. I just hadn't gotten around to it and we had some need for it. So we stuck it in this hard case and stuff. But you can see 16 inputs, 8 balanced. Actually these are balanced, quarter-inch balanced as well, because these last two, they're high Z, and 4 aux outs and left and right. And the headphone out. So an Ethernet controlled or Wi-Fi. I'm going to plug it in Ethernet obviously. Has some MIDI control as well, but this will be a great way to manage the Shack audio since I'm so far over the 8 that I have in my other board right now. And I'm gonna take and build some control panels using some of the button boards that we designed for our switching stuff to turn things off and on remotely. So, but this is what I'm getting ready to install. I'm gonna put it in the back of one of those other racks, so it'll be nice and neat. Wires will be kind of hidden behind, and you saw how I was doing the cabling, so it should all be nice and neat and easy to track now compared to what was going on before. So when we get this set up, I'll show you the user interface for it, but the user interface on the computer or iPad I probably won't use for very long after I set up my own interface. But I want to give you an idea of what it was.